Welcome to another episode of the Conversation Podcast. I'm your host, Karai,
And I'm your co-host Singh.
and
Star Zerotachi here.
yeah,
Oh,
no, that's
my
perfect.
bad.
No, you're good.
No, we're good. We're good.
We're joined by none other than Star Zerotachi here, the glitch lord himself. um, so
Glitch Ward is crazy.
yeah, so we got Star Zerotachi here. He's going to be talking to us about Storm and just a lot of things in general. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Um, Starting off, I'm curious as to how you recently, about 2, 3 weeks ago, Mr. E had an NA Storm tournament where I believe the only rules were what, no Kaguya, I believe, right?
It was no Kaguya and no Tamari.
No Kaguya and no Tamari. That's right. And so it was a pretty nice tournament. I remember watching it. It was pretty dope. Seeing you in it as well. And I wanted to get your overall thoughts on that tournament. How did you feel going into it with your opponent being Boroshiki? How did you feel about it being single elimination? Overall, how did you feel about that tournament?
Overall, I felt like it was more of like an engagement with the players themselves, and I was pretty okay with it. The only thing I really did not like about the tournament, though, it was like single elimination. I think a lot of people didn't really like the idea of single elimination, like showcasing like the best like NA players, because usually that's not like how it is. Single elimination doesn't really showcase best players, but they showcase just like it's just more of like a thing, right? Like more of like a entertainment thing, I would say.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I was curious as to why he chose single elimination too. I do know that had he done double elimination, it would have taken longer to finish the tournament. But even still, I think it would have made for a much more hype tournament because, maybe someone would have made a crazy losers run or something like that, like we see in traditional fighting games and stuff.
Right. But I'm like not really like disappointed about it. I still enjoy like any types of competitive play. Like I still am very gracious to even have like a tournament for Storm in general, right?
Yeah.
That's like a blessing.
Blessing in disguise, one could say. Especially in this community, we rarely get tournaments these days. We rarely get like any like sponsored tournaments, and we rarely get like any activity now. Especially with
Right.
other games coming out and other things taking up the time. What do you think about that?
That's when what I think about that is that's why I gotta do my part too. Because right now I am studying in a university that actually studies within that field with competitive like venues and like entertainment, the production of these esports scene. So it's just more that I gotta like do my part more.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
see. It's definitely interesting. And for me, you know, we hear a lot about like about people in the in Storm being a little bit opinionated. So I wonder if you're gonna do this venue. My question would be, how would people respond to that venue and respond to what you're trying to do? Would it be like negative or would that be positive? What's your thoughts on that?
I think my thoughts on that it would be more of like, and it should be more as of it's more it should be like looked at as like cultivating like an experience and like cultivating like the integrity of Storm. Uh I really believe in coming together as a community for competitive Storm. I think it's really positive in that note.
I think so too. I mean, honestly, that's really amazing to hear that you're going to university for that, because I
Mhm.
have the strangest suspicion that a lot of people in the community think, first to tens are great. Don't get me wrong, they're awesome. It's awesome to see high
Right.
level play like that. But we've got to get some structured events. We've got to get some IRL events consistently to really draw an
Mm.
audience, to really draw something special here with the Storm community to really propel us forward. So I really like that thinking a lot.
Right. And so like we don't really have enough context within our community. Like we don't even have like why these players are like we don't have like player stories to like we don't really acknowledge our players like that even with these like tournaments it's just like these players play, right?
Yeah,
So I think building some like ground and like more of like a story would really help with Storm. The Storm like the story of Storm, the context of it.
Mm,
And I think that could get more viewership. Like WWE, right? Uh they have these wrestlers that have different stories, that have different conflicts, and it builds a story that people would love to see. I think another way we can get more engagement for Storm, I believe.
that's a great
definitely true. That's
comparison.
definitely a true idea.
Mm.
Oh, sorry. I'll go first. Sorry. It was definitely a true idea, and especially like with the WWE part. I like that, like what you said about like the stories and all that, because Storm to me, like you said, it's underrepresented, and there's a lot of history that's left out of the wayside in order for people just to play, and people, they're not engaged. We need to, if you're gonna keep the Storm community alive, you need to neurologically engage these people with stories and arcs and archetypes, and maybe even get a villain here or two for some of these people. I know it's kind of cringy to say that, but we can get some villains. Like we can get like somebody like Madara to like Naruto, somebody's Itachi to a Sasuke, and build up that flow. And what do you think of
Right.
that?
Yeah, so like and then that's when it comes down to like the older times of Storm where people actually did have that type of vibe. Nowadays it's more like just the Storm community, but back then we had different clans, we had like player theme songs, right? That there's that
Yeah.
one player theme song that you showed me that like now I'm I've taken that theme song. Now it's mine. That's my
Oh,
player theme song. We are trying to build our community back up with recently we've been doing clan battles, right? We're trying to have that story more visible for Storm. I think now it comes down to the context of like these clans that we need to like focus on, and um, that's basically where we're at right now.
Right, right.
Right.
Well, that's a very good point. Circling back to the tournament with E, I noticed that
Hmm.
you ended up playing against Boroshiki and not
Right.
Boroshiki, iPal. Um, and you ended up using
Hmm.
PTS Sakura with Shikamaru and what was it, Karin, and
Hmm.
then he was using a Minato team. And so I'm curious as to walk me through the thought process of using PTS Sakura against his Minato and why you decided to just go ahead and stick it out with that team.
So on the previous, before I even fought iPal during the tournament, I've actually fought him with that same team in ranked, and I won this. I won the set against him. So when I fought him in the tournament, I thought maybe I could probably do the same thing. I had the mindset to how to beat him. It's just I couldn't really execute it because of it was it just you can't really win. There's times when you're gonna win, and there's times when you're gonna lose. I would say, and so I guess just now it wasn't like my time to win. But now, if I was to fight iPal, like I'm guaranteed that I will obliterate him. Now, if I
Oh
was to fight
shoot!
him,
Oh shoot! Okay. Well, yeah. No, that's pretty insane. Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting match because you were adapting, you were getting closer and closer. Of course, Minato's biggest advantage is that just this innate speed, and then that in tandem with the speed pill gives him insane option coverage and neutral gameplay. That's just really hard to deal with in general because he can just at any moment decide, hey, I don't want to play the game right now. Let me go chill back, gain some subs, whatever the case may be. Okay, now I want to play the game.
right.
I got my subs. I got my resources. So I thought you did pretty well up against that. But I'm curious, back in Storm 4, back when Tayuya was a lot stronger, you used to use Tayuya. What's your
Mhm.
thoughts on Tayuya in connections? Where is she? Is she relevant? Is she
Um,
irrelevant?
right now,
Yeah.
she is like she's like top five right now. She's actually kind of insane with Kinshiki and Kawashiki. Right now, that's my team with her, and it's only really strong because Tayuya, the game has gotten even more defensive compared to like previous patch, and even last patch she was like getting like during each patch she was just getting stronger. They just gave her like for example like the wake up kunai, right? That kind of made her stronger because that made Kaguya really strong. Like when Wake Up Kunai got nerfed, like when you couldn't wake up people with kunais to restand and then combo again, that made Kaguya strong. That made Tayuya strong, and that just made like puppets even stronger too. Like it just made a bunch of defensive and ranged characters stronger because the thing about Storm connections is you always want to get as most damage in as possible before it's like another how should I say it, before you have to deal with the neutral state again. So for Mike Guy, it was like you could take like a 50% combo and then just do it again before they get their subs. Because of the wake up kunai. Now it's like 45% or 30, like 33%. And then you do like, or 30, yeah, like 35%. You do three combos to kill off your opponent. Now for like Kaguya, when you're fighting Kaguya, she can't even like take that much damage now. And before, like Mike Guy, it was favorable for Mike Guy because he would do the more damage before Kaguya could do more damage to him. And not only that, like Mike Guy had more defense, and they nerfed his defense. So it's very like deep when it comes down to like to that like neutral, and then how much damage you're gonna get off, and then like before you have to like get in again. It's all about when you play Storm. It's all about finding your entry points or your points of entry, and when you find those points of entry, that's when you can make a play style of it, and that's when you can make a and or you can even start off with the goal like how do you want to win, right? You think about how do you want to win, and then how do you make because there's more ways than you can win. Like in Storm 4, you could like go for insta kills. That was a way. That was a game win strategy. There was running out time. That's a game winning strategy. And then there's also poke play. There is aggressiveness, and then there's also uh, like I said, time aggressiveness, and then insta kills like specials, and then yeah, that's basically it, I would say. It was even like health lead, right? With just like maintaining health lead and that way like for some reason players like to get more aggressive when they don't have health lead so that makes them play a certain way and like it's more of like a mental game at that point. Even like troll spinning is like a good game strategy. Like that's why you can't be affected with like people trolling you. There's a lot when it comes to like Storm. A lot.
Hey, you're getting into some deep stuff. This is great. Yeah, especially with that troll spinning. That troll spinning can make people so mad to where they just mindlessly rush in, and then that's pretty much the game right there because they get so tilted by it.
Right? Or it's a double-edged sword strategy because it's either your opponent will get taunted to play more aggressively, or it's either you're taunting your opponent to be more focused in the game, and it's like you're hoping that like your opponent will look more into the degenerate side of you and play more aggressive and play more harshly with their character to to waver in your favor.
All
Yes,
right.
it's like that in Smash too. Like Smash has like when you're taunting in Smash with like wave dashing or when you're literally teabagging them. it's it it's like it's a whole game. Teabagging them with Sonic, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I've seen that a lot in grand finals, especially recently in Ultimate. And it's actually interesting with the whole taunting thing because taunting was so toxic in Smash 4 online that in the new online for Smash Ultimate, they decided to remove it
Mhm.
because people were just getting so mad. You would see all these angry forums online of like, "Oh my goodness, this guy beat me. He was better than me, but he really made me mad taunting." And it's just hilarious how much that tilted people.
I think it's but when you get to like that level of thinking, then that's when you have to be more like I wouldn't say nice. It's more of like you gotta like be more generous to the player for losing to like strategies like that, like taunting, because if you just like use taunting and then just like you start instigating like or like adding or what was it gaslight, right,
Hmm.
more into like how you won because of that than won because of like skill, then it's like it it just breeds a lot of toxic environments, and that's something we don't want to have in for like storm community. We don't want a lot of like toxic environments. So when you do start like taunting and trolling like that, then just know that like it uh you shouldn't like have it the other person take it personally or try to like just know it has like repercussions and like you know consequences, I would say.
Let's see. It's an interesting point. Um, Speaking of which, I'm
Right.
curious as to
I
who. Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
I'm curious as to who do you think right now in the current for the NA scene? Give me your top five best NA players right now.
Oh, me. I'm top one.
Your top one.
Right, right now, I feel like I'm top one for sure, and I would say leaked is probably like top two.
Leaked. Oh wow.
Yeah, I would say either not leaked. My bad. Funds. I was thinking like funds. My bad. I think funds is like top two. Probably Demiris. I don't. It's because usually nowadays you don't really see enough players online. So like those are like mainly the only two I've been seeing play recently. That's like really in. I would say funds. I would say myself, and then and like I would say Dimlord probably. Dimlord's probably like top three in my
Huh.
opinion. I've never seen like other players play as of like right now. Like
As
right
of
now
right
we're in like a
now.
tough yeah, because right now we're competing against the Sparking Zero fans right now. We're competing against like uh in terms of like uh community, we're competing against them because right now like our community is going over to there, right? Because they see a flashy game, and I feel like right now like since the times are so tough right now for Storm, I think that uh I think people like should still like stay together and not like lose hope, I would say. And the people that are doing that are more of like the people that are probably going to be the top players right now. Like, for example, me, I still play the game, not daily because I'm like doing work, but I do it like every other day or um probably like the day after that, you know. Um
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
Huh.
I guess another question is, and sorry to interrupt you. Another question when I think about that, it makes me think of like Bleach and how there are some people I know when you just mentioned they're going to go over to Bleach as well, and Storm will be competing with Bleach as well. Even though Bleach is a smaller IP, people are also looking at Bleach and saying this game is also looking like another traditionally competitive anime arena fighter that I can go
right.
to and not deal with connections. So connections community might be even smaller when Bleach comes out as well. So connections will be in a pinch hole between Bleach and Dragon Ball. So it's going to be a tougher situation. I know that what you said about staying together and being strong together is a
Mhm.
good message, but sometimes reality is not a pretty thing. Sometimes people are not
Mm.
going to, instinctively follow that. People are pretty irrational creatures, and you could say, and maybe some people might get offended with this. Um, but I think that people will go on impressions. They will go on things that look nice, like you said. People will go on things that maybe, hey, this might be a change of fresh air, and it is powerful what you're saying. but at the same
Mm,
time, I feel like what you mentioned, like in the couple of conversation topics beforehand, of like making that mythos will be
mm,
very strong at this point. Because if you don't, Bleach is gonna outcompete Storm, and Dragon Ball is gonna outcompete Storm in this sense. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. I'm not trying to be negative on connections, but this is a situation where people are gonna be having the force to choose in their minds. Because I think one other reason with Sparking Zero, and I know
mm,
maybe this is getting a little bit off topic here, is because the Sparking Zero, the tournaments work at launch. Everything works at launch. There wasn't a buggy launch like Connections had. Let's
mm.
be real honest. Connections had a pretty buggy launch, and swear to God, it had a buggy
Right. First
launch, and
impressions.
people. Yes. And
Yeah.
first, and it was a very bad first impression. So people did not want to, deal with connections in that bad first impression. That's why, when I saw that news where they say, oh, we won't have endlesses and tournaments and all this other stuff at launch, I'm like, that is one way you're gonna kill off your game unintentionally. Even if the community is strong, that is one
Right.
way you're gonna kill off your game due to that bad impression that you're going to give the consumer. You're going to give this consumer saying, why? Like other Storm games, like Generations had everything at launch. Storm 3 had everything at launch. It's like these other games had everything at launch. Why is Connections missing features that are in these other games? When I can, play a Storm 4, for example, when I can play Endless with my friends and stuff like that, it is what's the word again? It is a pretty bad look when it comes to that. But
Mhm.
I guess circling back to what you're saying, and circling back to what I'm saying, um, Bleach and Dragon Ball will be, on connections pretty soon, and it will be pretty powerful. You need connections, you need mythos, and you need that unity. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so I believe that. I believe one thing that is our problem now is with how the companies, how these publishers, specifically, well, Bandai, right? Bandai and how they look at their community. These one thing that publishers need are the voice for communities, and that's where we get into our influencers. And when we look at these anime game influencers like Globku, Afro, right? These
Hmm.
big anime game influencers, and even Storm's influencers like Mr. E and Poison Okami going over to Sparking Zero, right? We're just losing influencers. We're not really sticking together, and it's like more of like um, it feels less Storm, right? It's just like people are leaving Storm and they're it's like bringing their audience to another game, um, which is pretty. That's why people they would make different YouTube channels. That way it wouldn't like uh that way they can have their audience at one place and not really bring that one audience to another um you know to like another community. And that's one way how we lose uh more community members for Storm, more community engagement with Storm by bringing other people within our group into another community. So it's going with our influencers. And when it comes to influencers, the influencers, they have more of an impression to the casual audience. And they think more of this is what the community is saying. So that's why publishers look. That's why when they did that one I remember when Bandai and Afro, they actually Bandai and Globku, Bandai, Afro, and Globku, they were all like in together in like a marketing strategy. They like posted it right with
Uh-huh.
Afro and Globku playing Storm Connections like on Bandai's channel. So that just shows you where they're actually looking towards when it's like through community and like Afro doesn't even play Storm, right? And Globku, he doesn't really have storm blood in him, right? He's not
Yeah.
really seasoned, and he mainly makes like anime content, right? So, and that's where Bandai is looking at right now. I think one thing that we aren't really doing as a community is actually reaching out to these publishers because we're just sitting around doing, Storm content. I believe that if all of our influencers came together, we can manipulate the casual audience to say what we actually want, and we don't really like do that. And the only time we actually really did that was during that one Momoshiki update, because see, the thing where Bandai is targeting, they're not targeting the competitive players, right? They're targeting the casual audience. So when
Yeah.
you have the when you so who's really like talking to the casual audience right now? It's the influencers. The influencers are talking to the casual audience. So if we can get all of our influencers together, right? Even we can also reach out to other influencers, or the other influencers that make content on anime will look at our influencers, and we'll band together and we'll all manipulate the casual audience, and Bandai will have no other reason but to change it because it'll look bad on them, right? So like that's the reason why, like, so we haven't really been doing anything, and the only time we actually did it, like I said, was during the Momoshiki update. And like even other, and then not only that, like soliciting like mods and stuff, that is like a way to kill uh like a game,
I'm so glad you
because it's
said
more
that.
of like, yeah, it kills the game because when you solicit like a mod, so what that does is it actually makes it show that you don't like the original current game and you'll rather play the mod than the current game. And that's why, yeah, that, and then like that's the reason why like there's games out there when they accept mods and they make it as part of like their marketing strategy. That's when like games get really good, like Elder Scrolls, or what's that one game my friend plays? She really likes the game. It's like it's a Bethesda game. It's
Fallout? One of the Fallouts?
Is it Fallout? I don't think
I don't
mods
know.
can be on Fallout, but it's another game. I think it probably is Elder Scrolls.
Oh.
Um, I'm not too sure, but it's like you could put mods in it, and they really like they really push people to put mods in. There's like a whole modding folder in the game. Like you could actually put mods in and play it. So when you like that, when you do that, then that creates infinite content. Like same thing with Minecraft, right? Like Minecraft, you literally can do anything in Minecraft, and like the Minecraft community, like Microsoft, they allow people to do that type of stuff with Minecraft, and they, that allows for certain. They embraced their modding culture. Uh, so I think what needs to happen is we definitely need to come together more as a community. That way, our influencers wouldn't like leave. We need to always stick tight knit. I think what Ultimate Ninja did was they did Storm United, but I mean they didn't really do anything with Storm United. Like they just made Storm United, and yeah, we just need to do more for that, I would say.
Um, I definitely agree.
Yeah, it sounds really dark, but I'm not trying to make it sound dark. But that's just like the whole truth of it, right? Um,
now, those are all, really valid points, I believe, because again, it goes back to what I said earlier about how I think a lot of people think the first tens are gonna save us, but at the end of the day, it has to evolve past that. Back in the day, because
mhm,
I started off in Storm 2 way back when, we just played all day. So there were no first attempts or anything. Well, we would do first attempts, but primarily you would just
mhm,
grind 40, 50 games with several different people throughout the day. And then it did evolve into the first to 10 culture, which is great. I love to see that people are being
mhm,
much more uniform with competitive play. But at the end of the day, it's got to evolve to the IRL stuff. It's got to evolve to, like you said, more collaborations and talking to the casuals and getting them on board. And
mhm,
again, that's where the storytelling comes into play too. Like, what are these players
mhm,
really fighting for? Who are the villains? Because even with, some like in the PS3 and PS3 history, there was some instances of where that prevailed a lot, where, you had Battlehard and Sarah being quirky and stuff
mhm.
on the internet, Sasuke, Scorpion Sasuke, I believe, something like that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, see, the internet was like way more impressionable, like cuz like a lot of people, it wasn't like that heavy into gaming until like Black Ops 2 came out. That's when like that's when we really started to have like more of an impression on games. But and so it just came down to like a lifestyle. And so like now everybody has a passion for games, right? So you
Yeah.
can't really like, so it's like, yeah, that type of stuff wouldn't work. Like that old time Storm stuff probably wouldn't work in today's standards. It's sad, but that's like the reality of it. So
Yeah.
we just have to come up. We have to come. We have to push through the times. Like we have to evolve during the times because right now we're like in tough times,
Mm.
especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Sorry about that. I went way off course with that tournament thing with Mr. E. I don't even know how we even got there, but is there any other like other question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, no, of course.
I know there's more questions.
Yeah, no, this is great, Zerotachi. I mean, really, I'm curious as to ultimately, with what we've talked about so far, do you think it sounds like you really do believe in the community, you do believe in Storm. Do you think, I've asked this question one time before in the past to a previous guest, but
Mhm.
I'm wondering what you think, given what you know and what you said. But do you think that uh, Storm has the ability to become a high level competitive esport?
Of course, of course. I think Storm probably has the best way to learn like competitiveness and like everybody can get into Storm, right? Anybody they could pick a game up and then match circle, yada yada, spam jutsus. But there's more to it, and like the fact that like the game is so easy to play, and you can take it such like to a high competitive level where it comes down to mental games and pattern recognition it becomes even more and like I really love the movement for Storm. It makes sense. The physics makes sense. The gravity of the game makes sense. I for like an anime fighting game, right?
Yeah.
I don't really like realistic. Uh, I don't really like when it comes to creative games. Like I don't really like real reality into games because it more deviates from feeling. It's more of like being closer to reality than feeling. It's kind of when you put like when you put a reason to like a game, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make games good. Uh, like for example, like a lot of these movement for games, like the new Assassin's Creed coming out with the whole samurai like stuff. Like once you put a reason behind games, then it's not a good game. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's not a good game. It could look good, and it could be it could have like a nice story, but when you like start putting these terms into why they're good, then that's when like the standards for why you like games drop. And that's why I don't really like a lot of these like realistic titles. The only thing I really like was like Black Ops 2, I would say, because that was more of like a that game actually felt like a masterpiece. I would say when it came to like the Black Ops or the Call of Duty franchise. I even liked the Modern Warfare for their special ops. I think that was like really fun. But those I don't even really like GTA like that, but GTA has so much content you could do for that game. There's so much things you could do in GTA, and they put in so much work that I feel like that should be like what people should probably just deviate from like realistic looking games and just play GTA. Honestly, it's the best game for that.
Yeah, GTA is great. They made over a
Right.
billion dollars. So they did it, the
Ooh.
non-Fortnite way. So I can only imagine what's going to happen
Mm.
next year when it releases. I'm pretty sure it's going to break the internet. They're going to do way more.
Oh yeah. It's definitely like GTA right now like is still like top 3 for the most streamed game right now somehow and that game came out like how long? Like 13
Gosh.
years ago?
Yeah, that's
12
insane.
years ago? Like what?
That's insane. Like it came out so long ago. It's crazy. I remember Sink and I playing that game a few times ago. Yeah.
I don't even know when that game came out, like 2012 or 14, or I'm not too sure. But like that game is still being streamed till this day. Like it's still top three. It's insane. So
Yeah. People
yeah.
just don't get enough of it. It's crazy. It
Yeah.
really is. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering, in terms of so circling back to connections,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about connections overall as a game?
Uh, I like connections for the speed of the game. I really like how fast you can get into like because you're guaranteed to take damage like in other games and stuff like that. But like for a storm, for this game, for this storm specifically, I think it's the fastest game. Like I feel like games end in like 20 seconds, and like when everything could just happen like this, it feels good. And on top of that, it's better to watch because when I watch those like older like Storm 4 matches, it takes like 5 minutes compared to like Storm Connections where it just happens, right? Like it happens like 20 seconds. You can get into the results instantly. And I really like the speed. I really like how items are infinite. I don't really like counters being infinite like that, but I get the idea why they did it, right? Because the game is going to be so fast that they really want people to just a way to punish like a lot of fast like things that are going to happen, and especially like you got puppets right running around and they're like the strongest, right? Counters being infinite is it kind of makes sense, right? Believe it or not.
Yeah.
So right now, I really like Storm Connections for its speed. I don't really like Storm Connections for how much options they bring to the table because they did lessen the amount of stuff you can do, like Chakra Shuriken. They took out 50% switching, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and then they took out what else would they take? They took out tilts, right? And I didn't really like that as
Me
much. I
neither.
like the second jutsu idea, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't like it when they heard like it's gonna replace the chakra kunai because that took out escape options where they could have just used that for the more speed of like how the game is gonna go, right?
Yeah.
I also don't really enjoy Storm Connections, how they didn't really put like the characters from the previous story modes, like Shikadai, like Shikadai was in the game files, and then Konohamaru. I really did not like how they didn't put those characters in the game because when we played those characters, like when we were able to like mod and like edit save data to like put these characters in our preset teams, and we played them. They were so fun. Like that bubble character. What was his bubble character name again? Do you
Yuru.
remember the one that
I think his name was Yurui.
Yeah, you really? Oh my gosh, he was so fun to play with just having bubbles and bubbles that have different effects. That was such a good idea that they just didn't put in Storm Connections for some reason. Like, wouldn't that be like a good like cool like play style to play? Probably a little like cheesy, but like, that's like the fun of like playing against cheese with these strong characters.
Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
mean that sounds really fun. What was he? Was he an X character, or did he have bubbles in his combos, like regular
He
combos?
had he had bubbles in his kunai. His chakra shuriken had bubbles. His so he would have been he probably would have been another square character probably, but he did have like, and his bubbles did travel faster. And when he did his jutsu, he actually summoned bubbles with different effects. He had the sleep effect. He had the lightning. No, not the lightning effect. I think it was like a paper bomb effect for one of them, and then he also had like I'm trying to remember, but it was like a ton of different effects that I really thought was pretty cool. That they probably could have done in Storm Connections. Like probably not like lightning kunai like effect. Probably they probably could have added like um the paper bomb one, that was one of them, or they could add the chakra seal effect, which that Hokage, for some reason they took it out. The third Hokage, he actually when he did his ultimate in like Storm 3, I believe, he was able to chakra seal them with his ultimate. Like you was able to make it so they can't use chakra. Like if like drive type was to like hit you with like their ultimate and they would seal up your chakra and you couldn't use like jutsus and stuff. I think that would have been really great for storm connections, especially with how fast the game is. You know.
Mhm. I definitely do agree with that. And I think that to me, like we need more uniqueness. And I think this is kind of to a philosophy personally of mine. I don't know if this would be anything bad, but I think we need unique characters that are that will defy them, that will be a little bit more pushing the thing a bit. We do need more risks in these games, and we don't need everything to be, flat. And I think that's one reason why I am covering Bleach content. I know it's kind of like a deviation of topic, but this is the reason why I'm covering Bleach because the Bleach trailers, every time I see a character in Bleach, they have like these unique properties to them. Like they look, quote unquote toxic, but they're very unique. They stand out, and they look fun to play. With competitive, you need to have the ability to have fun in the game. If everything's like super competitive and super everything needs to be perfect, it's gonna make things boring. It makes things flat. It makes things not unique. And I think that's one reason why I like Evo a bit. Story for Evo because with the Karine healing and stuff like that, and what you said about, what I always forget that bubble character's name. The bubble character's name again? What is it again?
Yuri.
Yurui. Yeah. And that man's Yurui with all these different effects with the bubbles. That's kind of cool. And I think I've seen his Jitsu too, where it's like it spreads out the bubbles everywhere. It's like a little landmine. So one of them's a paper bomb, one of them's a sleep, one of them's a poison. It will create a unique sense of identity with that character, and people will be like, okay, this is actually fun to play. Maybe he's a little bit cheesy, maybe he might be busted, maybe he might be some annoying character, but it's fun. It's fun. We're missing fun. Like you said before with GTA and it's realism. We're not having enough fun in these games. We're not expressing enough fun. We're so focused and obsessed with balance. Maybe that's me being a little bit frustrated about like the idea of like people have to like have a perfectly balanced game. Like this game has to be perfectly balanced. No, no. It needs to be fun and it needs to have like the idea of fun and balance with it. It cannot be one or the other.
Yeah, and then it's like that's when it comes down to when it feels good, right? When a game feels good, you're right. But
Mhm.
that's what I think about Storm Connections for sure. I think there's a lot they could do for it, and I think with the community, I think we could probably like voice our like opinions with our and just reach out to say like what we really want. A lot of like casuals they like to just throw things in there, but I think if we really um, had really good connections with our influencers, I think we could create something crazy with something beautiful
Mhm.
with
Definitely.
Storm. And we did it only once. That's all I could say. We did it only once. And actually twice because the Red Cloud was actually like, it was, I think it was sort of like that.
Yeah,
The Red Cloud was kind of like that.
I heard Red
It was
Cloud was.
halfway like that.
I heard Red Cloud was like really high. Speaking of Red Cloud, did you go to Red Cloud, Zerotachi?
I was supposed to go to Red Cloud, but then the COVID regulations came up, and I couldn't really attend, but I did get the shirt. I did get my shirt for it.
Right. Yeah. I heard Red Cloud was really good. We had Falco on the show. He was our first guest, Falco X Risen. He talked about Red Cloud and he said it was amazing. Probably the best Storm tournament in general. Let alone, best IRL Storm tournament, but just Storm tournament in general because of how cool it was, how it was executed.
Really good.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of and the thing is that speaking of that, Keon, he definitely moved on from Storm and he's playing
Yeah,
Sparking. And I mean he did try a lot. He really tried to make it work, but at some point, what can you do when the developers don't have your back? And then I believe he was talking about how some players were getting mad that the pop bonus wasn't as high or something like that. I can't quite remember, but I remember something about pop bonuses came up, that an issue of that came up at some point because there's no money in the Storm community, so I don't even know
right.
how he was providing what he was providing really.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know how he was doing. I think he said something about winning in a casino when he did that. But then like that was more of like Qyon's thing more than like the Storm community's thing. Uh,
Yeah.
in general, like with all that like like tournaments and stuff. I don't really think it was like entirely like good for the community, but it was morely like for him, like for his viewership. I would say he put a lot of money into it, which was it turned out really good, and he got like a good following. Right now, I saw him like before with like 800 viewers on Twitch. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, me
Man,
too.
really made it out there.
Yeah, he really
But
did.
and he actually tried to help out Storm, like the Storm community. He made like a tournament and stuff, but he didn't really like I don't know if he actually made like plans with like the influencers of the community. He kind of just like did it as like his own thing, like I said. Like he could have did more for his venues and stuff like that. He just had Red Cloud over there and didn't really like cultivate like other things. He probably could have got more people into Red Cloud by having other things happen, like he could have like some actual venue planning, which is what I'm studying right now. Like
Right.
having other games have tournaments over there, right? You could bring in other audiences from other uh communities by just having like a tournament, like a locals.
Hmm. It's a very good point. I know Plako's always preaching about starting a local scene if you can in your area and how important that is.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's really good.
Mm.
Yeah, so
So it's really interesting
mm,
above all else. I will, it's interesting because, so I'm curious when,
mhm.
you look at connections, you look at the community, things like that. Do you think that um, most members are really held back by the past? Do you think that maybe they don't really want to grow, or do you think it's that they don't know how to grow at this point?
I think it's just they don't know how to grow, right? We kind of just been like doing our own thing, and a lot of people don't. There's not a lot of like storm. There's when it comes to storm, there's not a lot of like heavy. I they're not really they don't really build off stuff like for Storm really. They just kind of like do their own thing, or they're just playing the game, or they're in their own like separate friend groups and they play the game. So it's just a lot of those, and we don't really get people that want to build Storm and like make it into something. So it's more like they don't know how to grow. Like a lot of like there's people that really want to help Storm and they just don't know how to do it. I have a good idea on how to grow Storm, and I have like a good plan on how to do it, but I still do not know how to like fully do it yet, right? I know like where I'm at. I know the problem now. I know how we kind of could start, but I don't know like the actual planning phase and like the cultivation processes yet. I just know like the problem and how we could probably start, and that's it. That's where I'm at right now.
Hmm, I see.
So yeah, so like I want to help Storm as much as I can. Like I said, I gotta do my own part too, right? Because I played Storm for over a decade now. It's been over a decade, and I'm not gonna drop that game anytime soon. I put too much work and time into that game. It feels like a betrayal if I was to just stop playing Storm, right? When
Hmm.
you put so much time and work, it just feels like you just kind of like betrayed all that time and effort you put into a game, and that's when you start to really regret your actions for playing like the game. So I want to put as much time as I can for the game because I never really did that. I just kind of played the game, and now I could put why I like things and why things are the way they are into words, which I never was able to do before. And that's why I think like a lot of other like Storm players, like the top Storm players, they still like think about like the mind of like a casual. I'm not to say rude, not to be rude, but it's still of like a consumer mindset that they have, and not really like like uh so they're not really like building thinkers. They just like to consume, which is that's how the world works. So
All right. Yeah, just want to really play all day and do first to tens.
Yeah, and indulge with like their friend groups and do a lot of just playing. They want to. They're being entertained right now because there's other things in life that people have to do. Right? They don't just play Storm all day. They can't just play Storm all day and like think about Storm. Right? They don't
Right.
have the time to do that. They have jobs and they want to hang out with their friends and yeah, and do all their stuff, which is understandable.
Yeah, that is. So I'm wondering, you earlier you talked about the top three players in the game. No
Oh
Boro,
yeah.
no Valor, no
Oh,
iPal,
oh,
no
oh yeah,
Quaker.
oh yeah. Okay, Boroshiki, I haven't seen him on recently, but I think he is probably he's probably top two. I'm still putting myself top one because I am a top player. I'll beat him. Okay, I will destroy him. He probably is top two, Boroshiki.
Boroshiki. Yeah, he's pretty crazy,
Yeah,
honestly, from what I can see. Like he's his fundamentals are really sound.
yeah.
Uh,
He just came out of nowhere one day.
that's what it
Like
seems
we
like.
we had our whole we had our whole storm community. We've never heard of Boroshiki until like a couple years I don't like what 2000 like 19 18
I think
all
so.
or 2019 to 2020 that's when we start hearing Boroshiki. It's like where did this guy come from? And he
Yeah.
started beating people, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought he was some kind of troll because usually people who like Boruto, I don't know, they're very interesting. Let's put it that way. Boruto PFPs online, they're definitely their own breed. And so when I saw Boroshiki, I kind of just wrote him off. I was like, oh, Boroshiki, but then I'm like, dang, this guy's tough. Like he's over here putting in
Yeah.
work, destroying people. Okay, this is dope.
Yeah, now imagine if we had like a story for him. I mean, there's top players that have their own space and like they know other top players, but like imagine if we had a story for him and like we were able to build like if he built like conflicts and stuff to like make an even more like appealing story like the hero. What is it called? The story of the hero. That's like what a lot of these companies like to build with the like
Hmm.
uh, because a lot of people they would like to put their own experiences with their experiences, and so
Hmm.
like if we had Boroshiki if we gave him like a story, if we was able to like put that out there, I think it would have Storm would have been even more like cool. It's like Leffen, like how Leffen just came out of nowhere and he was like the five God Slayer. He was just like a God Slayer for Smash, right?
That's crazy that you mentioned Leffen because that's who I thought of earlier when you talked about the villain. But yeah, I remember that in real time. I remember watching Leffen come in because for those that may not know, and Super Smash Bros. Melee for a period of several years, there
Hmm.
were five players at the top, and really only they themselves within that group of five could beat each other. And so it wasn't until Leffen came around and started beating these players that everyone's like, wait a minute, can someone really beat the five gods of Melee? And then at some point he became the first person to beat all five gods of Melee and and be better than them and break that era essentially. So that was really hype watching in real time.
And I thought that was really cool. Like people that like they literally made a story for Leffen and he capitalized it. Now he's like got privilege, like that top player privilege, like that thing actually exists. Like um yeah. And then he went a dark route with
Yeah.
it. He
Yeah.
probably he went the route he was supposed to go with it, I would say. I guess.
Yeah,
Donut is real, man. Donut is real.
exactly. Yeah, he
God.
definitely he was definitely a great villain, putting it that way. Yeah.
Now, now when we're talking about Valak, oh yeah, I could smoke Valak. I'll smoke
You'll smoke,
him.
you smoke
I'll
Val.
smoke him too.
You smoke Val. Even
Oh my
Planko.
God, that's wild.
I've never lost a Valak recently ever, and when I did fought him, I won, and I now smoke him again. Show him what's
And
up.
go on Evo, man. That's where he goes now. He goes on Evo. Hop there.
Oh
What?
man,
Yeah,
Evo.
he plays Evo now.
Oh yeah, I'll consume his soul.
Yeah, drop
Oh
down to Evo,
man,
bro. Go to
I
Evo.
love it. Okay, well, Star Zero Tachi,
Mhm,
where can everyone find you?
mhm. I will be on YouTube, and I have a Twitter at Star Zerotachi. I will also yeah, it's basically Twitter. We have a Discord for our clan, so I would probably send you the link if you want to like engage or find me anywhere like around there. And that's basically it. Just Discord, Twitter, and YouTube. And I do have a Twitch too. So that's basically it.
Well, there you have it, everyone. That's where you can find Star Zero Tachi. Personally, I can attest to the Twitch streams. I've seen a few, and really chill, really high level gameplay. So if you're looking to learn a lot and see some interesting gameplay as well, definitely check them out. Thank you guys for all watching another episode of the conversation. I'm your host Karai,
And I'm your co-host Ink.
and we've been joined
And
by
I'm Star Zerotachi.
yeah. Thank you
Oh,
guys for watching.
yeah.